What defines a high-quality, out-of-school time arts program? And what does it take to engage urban, low-income youth in these programs when there are so many other options? The Wallace Foundation set out to answer both questions. They explore the issues in depth with experts, including urban youth and their families, researchers, academics, and the staffs of some of the nation's best arts programs. This video contains excerpts of our discussion with Dr. Shirley Brice Heath.
So it's leadership, it's management, it's design. Those are the sorts of things that young people who work in the arts-based organizations get. The first of those is leadership. The ability to know what leadership is, know how to recognize and work with leaders, but also how to begin to shape yourself in terms of the kind of leadership roles you want to play. So the second is management. It's impossible to work in a youth-based arts organization and not learn management skills. How to do tech on a show. How to do tech on an exhibition space. You get the city of Boston to give you an exhibition space. How do you go and tech out what it's going to be like to hang a piece of art that is 7 by 9 feet? The third thing is design. Design is the new big thing in the business world, and young people are constantly involved in all sorts of design issues when they're working in youth-based arts organizations. They're thinking about designing interview questions, designing a way to present your organization to what you were calling stakeholders, but to think about how to present themselves. Tweens and teens had been drawn to the arts for what many adults consider non-reasons, but for young people, those are the key reasons. The arts always involve technology, and usually cutting-edge technology. If you're doing video production, if you're doing choreography, if you're doing music, the arts involve ownership of something that you can claim as a base from which you can go on to learn more. For young people working in the arts in spaces and with equipment that is absolutely up to date matters. And they need to be in on the ordering of that equipment, knowing the cost of that equipment, knowing the maintenance of that equipment. That is part of the learning scheme for them. One of the key factors is that young people who worked in the arts for at least as long as a year, as many as 10 hours a week, found their way to the kind of language that would enable them to negotiate their way through life. That is, they found a way to look at a situation, size it up, and decide whether they needed to fight it, walk away from it, or attempt to negotiate. Those young people were young people who were finding ways to read much more outside of school. They may not have been reading schoolwork, but they were reading in relationship to interest activities that they had taken up. They were also subscribing to situations where they could take lessons and they could learn to be better at something that they saw as related to their own chosen art at that particular time. And learning more in the arts involves practice. Practice involves habituation. That habituation involves cognitive frameworks that tie into, do I have the time management skills to know when to schedule my homework? How much is this project for the end of the week going to take from me? And am I willing to put the time into it? If you're not bringing them into an organization in the arts that is going to put a very high level of performance as the norm, it isn't worth it. They will not stay with it. That is one of the other differences with the tweens and teens today. They make very high demands. They watch high production on all sorts of media. Digital media brings it to them 24 hours a day if they want it. professionals will tell you in a heartbeat, yeah, I like the kids. Kids are okay. But what I really want to have happen is good arts production. And they are vital to that. And to the extent that they play up to their roles, then yes, I'm interested in the kids, but in the context of the high levels of performance that I expect of them. Youth-based organizations and communities always want to involve audiences, spectators, visitors. However, what is really vital is to get folks who are involved in the welfare of the young people in the community, parks and recreation folks, people from the local medical care facility, pediatric and youth unit, the youngest judges in town, probation officers, to get word out to them and say, we'd really love to have you come. And we are doing this work now, and we need to have your input. We want you to be there to advise us on what you see, what you hear, what did you learn? And reach out to people that you don't typically think of as your stakeholders, but people who have a stake in holding up the livelihood of young people for the future, but also in sustaining quality of life for those young people. Travel with youth arts programs is absolutely critical. We think nothing of it with sports, nothing. But travel with an arts-based program, absolutely, you've got to do it. And that is one of the things that I have to talk up constantly, is you've got to think about a way to get this out on the road, get it out there, get the exhibitions of these kids out there, get these videos entered in regional competitions, and have these kids go to these regional meetings. Stop looking at young people as problems or as students. Look at them as resources who can enable you as an organization, you as a Boys and Girls Club, to learn more about yourself and learn more about what you actually need to do and how you can do it. And they'll tell you whether they want a library. They'll tell you whether they want new kinds of software for editing the videos they produce. They'll help you know what to do.
For more in-depth discussion of the research findings, we invite you to read the full report and to watch the project videos.